We're live. Um, it has been quite a while since we've done. It has been a month, in fact, since doing an Ask Me Anything session on YouTube. So, welcome back if you're here, and thanks for tuning in. As at the moment, I literally turned up. I've been doing so much admin for our tour that's coming up starting later in the month. So it's literally what my focus has been in. And obviously, you will have seen on the channel that there has not been a lot of videos. I miss you guys. I miss hanging out and making videos. And it's definitely on my radar. I still have a bunch of things I'd really like to do and create. And obviously there's the new pedal board setup that I'm running, changes there and figuring that out. There's a bunch of new tunes. And hey, Josh. Yeah, say hi if you're on, by the way, in the chat. Otherwise, I have no idea you're here. But yeah, literally kind of tour planning, different sets, different changes, moved places a bunch of times. There's been other priorities, I guess, than making all the video content that I wish to. And I actually remember, I don't know, I was doing a course once, just and the guy leading it was like, write down what you've spent the most time on the last week. And this was after writing down what we think our priorities were. And then this seemed unrelated to me. So I wrote down like where I'd spent my time. And the guy's like, that's actually your priorities. So anyway, clearly it hasn't been top of my list to make YouTube videos. Hey Ed, how's it going, man? I never know whether I should call you Jason or Ed now. I'm torn. What's the preference, man? But yeah, it's really nice to be dancing in the moonlight. I'm honestly not sure how much playing might happen tonight. I'm feeling pretty spent. I'll just be honest. After a pretty big weekend of shows and things, so yeah. But honestly, I'm happy to chat, and I made a coffee. I was like, cool, first Tuesday of the month, we're going to do it. We're going to hang out, and we get to catch up again. So thank you for your request. Is that like, that's a great emoji. I've never seen that in emoji form before. Josh, I'm about to start live gigging for the first time. May I ask a question about gig payments on this form? Yeah, absolutely, man. Far away. Like, actually, that's a really, really good. Like, what emojis am I getting here from Mondit? But if you work for the tax, oh, now I'm even more confused. If you work for the tax office, call me Ed. Only my mother calls me Jay. I'm not sure that helps me, man. But appreciate you being here. It's nice to hang out and connect. So, like live streaming is a great. We'll just go into it. Josh, do you have a specific question? If you have a specific question, let me know. Otherwise, yeah, we should definitely talk about live streaming and how to go about it. It can be really, really. I think it's really valuable for a couple of reasons. One, obviously, is you're performing, and yeah, like you say, if you're looking to do this as a profession or an income source, then you get to do what you enjoy doing, and you allow people to gift to you in the process. So it's not like something where it's in general, although you can do this as well, and it's been on our radar of selling tickets to a live show. which we will be doing something via Zoom, which actually you've just reminded me, a live session via Zoom. So then, rather than this setting on YouTube where you can all tune in across the globe, which is really nice, but I can't see you on YouTube. So with Zoom, then I can see you all. We can kind of hang out that way. But let's talk about live streaming and payments. In New Zealand, we don't have the option to do a PayPal me. It's just not an option in our country at this stage, and maybe it will become one. Maybe not. Who knows? But there are a couple of ways around that you can still accept money through PayPal. And the best one that we've done is setting up a donation button. So, sweet. But oh, right. So I'm talking about something completely different anyway, to be honest. I read your thing as live gigging, as live streaming, which you did not say, but I just started talking about. So anyway, we'll get onto that totally, dude, in a mo. But yeah, let's I'll kind of finish. For anyone that was engaged and interested in live streaming, we set up a PayPal, especially if you're in New Zealand or you're in one of those countries that doesn't give you the option to do like a PayPal.me link, which makes things very simple. You can set up a donate button, and you can choose different donation amounts if you wish, or not. But you can copy a link that means it makes it as simple as possible, I guess, for people to contribute. So there you go. I should have drunk more coffee before starting this live stream, so I can actually read your questions properly. So take two. I'm about to start live gigging. Live gigging at a venue. The pay for live pub gigs is something that isn't widely available. There is a rule of thumb that I've heard of. May I ask what you normally charge for per set, and does that vary depending on experience, agency, representation? Sure. Honestly, man, for most pub gigs over here, what I've found is most of them have a set rate. And so what's happened for me over time, I think my first pub gigs when I started out, this is it's a long time ago now, but I was doing for $150, and they paid cash at the end of the night, and it was through an agency, and I had to give $30 of that cash to the agency, which was very odd. But again, I was really happy to get out gigging and doing something. So yeah, it's I think that's one of those things where, to start out with, I think a lot of the pubs and a lot of the venues are quite set. They have, this is what we pay for musicians. And it might be, I think you're in Christchurch, right? It may be different in Christchurch, and I expect the overall level may be average slightly lower in Christchurch, just a guess, than Auckland. I don't actually know the answer, but that's kind of a hunch and a guess. But a lot of the venues will say, look, we pay this, we pay that. And there's venues that I play at that I get more money for, that I get less money for, that's their rate. And I kind of choose, like, do I enjoy going and hanging out and playing or not? Or do I want cash or not? So from here, there's literally, I don't know if they're still going around, but there's literally from 4 hours from $180, which is one venue that I know. Again, up to you if you go and do the gig, but they're literally like, that's what we pay. And then up to $450, $500 for a 3-hour set is kind of the top end of what seems to be around. I don't know everything. I don't play in all the venues, so there may be very different things there as well. Oh, you're actually in Sydney. Sweet. I'm getting it all over the show. And Ed, I'll get back to you. I saw your question there. So yeah, here most of the venues have a rate, and what I've found for me is once I build up a bunch of venues that I really enjoy and I like playing for, then when new venues approached, I basically started quoting my rate, but I didn't do that at all at the start. So I'd be like, well, if I'm going to take on a new venue now, it wouldn't make sense for me to take on something at a lower rate, because then I'm gonna end up doing that gig and another venue is going to contact me that pays more. And it's sort of just one of those things where I'm like, okay, it doesn't make much sense after a period of time. But I literally, so when a new venue contacts me, it's like, cool. Whatever I decide I'm happy with. Like sometimes they'll tell me this is what I'm going to pay. It might be $300, and I can say yes or no, or I can say, hey, look, this is what I want to charge. If you're okay with that, awesome, love to get on board. But I'm essentially not, it might even, and sometimes I do it. So I mean, this is a live stream. It's all out there. But sometimes I do charge where I'm like, I'm literally not taking on any new venues or something, depending on what's happening. So I might put the charge higher because I'm like, look, if you really want me to do it, I'll enjoy it and I'll do it. But it's sort of like taking my focus a little bit out of maybe what I want to do with the tour and that sort of stuff at the moment. But when I have done that, I realize I've just undermined my own values, because the reality was I didn't want to do the gig. So it's just become one of those things more where I'm like, if it feels good, then great. If it doesn't feel like a good match, I'd just rather be like, look, I've got a bunch of people that would be great, and I'd rather redirect you to there. But yeah, I don't know the Sydney scene at all, to be honest, man. So you got to figure out what works for you, and probably what will happen is I know it can be funny sometimes being like, what do you get paid? But I would say any of the bar gigs that I do around Auckland, just so you've got a fixed reference point, are from $200 to $350, $400. So depending on what gigs I'm doing, of venues at the moment. And yeah, that, different venues. The thing I would put in this is it has to work for you and the venue. So if you keep that in mind when you approach somewhere, if you're going to play at a small little cafe, and you're like, right, it's going to be $500, it's like their takings for the morning might only be no, Josh, honestly, I appreciate it, because it's something that, if people don't talk about it, how do you get the information? So yeah, literally there's a point where I started going, okay, there's a balance of, if I'm going to do 5 gigs a week, there's like, they need to be able to pay rent. They need to be able to put petrol in my car. They need to be able to provide food for me, and they need to provide some spare cash that I can go and have fun and enjoy living life, right? So if you sort of like get to the end of the week and you've done all the gigs that are paying really, really low, and you're spending a lot of energy on it, it can be really, really tough. And so I think it's one of those things where as you raise your vibe and what you offer a venue, where if you're having fun playing music and you've practiced your set and you're enjoying creating music, creating a vibe, people are hanging out, people start coming and staying longer. People talk about, I was at this venue, Josh was playing, we had a really great night. Yeah, I think they have music there every week. It's a great place. So you're adding to not only the sales for the venue, but you're adding to a conversation point and basically marketing for both you and them, right? So I think so long as you keep in mind the balance of being like, hey, when you've got a venue that's a bigger venue, you're likely to be able to get paid more simply because if you're keeping people in their venue or you're a talking point, come down Sunday session, Friday night, whenever it is, then their revenue from a massive venue can be really, really big. And if you're holding a crowd, you're actually really, really valuable to that venue. And just rates that I talked about solo, like there would be a solo musician here. So obviously it changes with duo band stuff as well. But even if you're incredible, you're absolutely amazing at a really, really small venue, it can be hard to get paid the same amount because even if the venue is absolutely packed, they've come to see you, and it's a free entry type of thing. There's only so many drinks and so much, word of mouth to bring people in. And actually, at the end of the day, the bar needs to make money as well because they're paying us in cash, in money. So they need some turnover. So, yeah. In terms of payment stuff, I used to get super frustrated, man, about payment from venues. And it was really only 2 years ago. I went in and chatted with most of the venues and I was like, look, you let me know what payment terms work for you. We'll set it up. But they're just like most places do, there'll be a late payment fee if it's not sorted. So, hey, hey everybody, Grimch, how's it going? It has been a long time. Yes, I'm doing well. I'm very much full on into tour mode at the moment. It's been a lot of admin, a lot of staring at this laptop and designing posters, sorting venue dates, all that sort of stuff, doing some gigs in between. So yeah, not so much on the YouTube videos. Giovanni, hi, good to see you as well. Guitar pickups, yeah, fire your questions in the chat and I'll get to them. It's just at the moment it's a little bit of my ramblings about doing the live gigging thing and payments and that sort of thing. Yeah, I've had one venue that I think they took about 4 months to pay, Josh, and it just kept fobbing me off because we can become not that important if a venue's struggling, especially if a venue's struggling and they have the option to be like, should we pay our musician or do we buy more beer for next week so we can keep selling stuff? They're gonna buy more beer, So we can get pushed down the list, and that venue rang me maybe another couple of months down the track, and we'd really love to have you come back again. And for me, it was just like no, and now in hindsight, I would have said absolutely. I will send you the invoice when payment is made. We will book a date. So I'm not saying no, but obviously it's just awareness based on what happened last time. It's kind of like if you've got a mate and you keep making a plan to go to the movies or go to the beach or hang out, right? Whatever it is, and you turn up, they don't show up, or they're an hour late, and then next time the same thing happens. After a while, you say, "Hey, it doesn't actually work for me." So, and that person might not change, that venue might not change, and obviously after a while, chat just gets out in the community that it's like, yeah, that venue's pretty terrible at paying, or and same for musicians, right? That musician may or may not show up for the gig, or they're late, or they broke a string and threw a little tantrum and just packed up halfway through. So it applies both ways, but yeah, I've never had an issue with a venue not paying eventually, but I've got super frustrated about just being constantly kind of pushed down the list, I guess, and then I don't feel particularly valued if a venue just ignores emails saying, "Hey, just following up, this is obviously late." If there's no response to that, and just as simple as someone replying and being like, "Hey man, sorry we missed it. It'll get paid in a week, or I'll put it through tomorrow," or whatever it might be. When there's no communication, that to me is a breakdown, because things happen. And the same story with us doing gigs. Sometimes things happen, and but ringing a venue and saying, "Hey, look, for whatever reason, I'm running late. I am on my way. I'm really sorry." Like, maybe at this point there's nothing I can do about it. But you at least communicate what's going on, so they're not not suddenly surprised, or they don't have to necessarily ring you and be like, "Hey, what's going on?" I think some of those things just build a really good foundation that people want to work with you, man, which is the kind of main thing as well. So just while we're talking on this, that last question, set up an ABN or NZ equivalent. Every venue is different, man. I do everything pretty much through, there's not much that's just cash in hand now. And it's, to be honest, it's just easier to do things online, because it's all tracked for tax and stuff like that. So it's all just goes into your, if you've got accounting software, then great. And if not, you've just got a record you can go through and put everything in. So, and then at the end of the year, I don't know what the equivalent is in Australia, but here, as a self-employed musician, you'd fill out an IR 330 little tax form to say, here's what I've earned, here's what I've spent, and I'm claiming as expenses. So things like if you've gone to see other musicians, paid for tickets, shows, that's part of your research of becoming a better artist, a better performer, a better musician. If you have a Spotify, account that you pay for, that you use, that's putting on break music, or you're listening to that and that's how you access music, that's part of your expenses as a musician that are part of your business. So however you want to do it, you will have to fill in some forms and details and keep some records of all that sort of stuff, but not quite sure the finer details for Australia, and you should figure out whatever they are so that you've got everything lined up and sorted. So anyway, a couple of questions back up. I hope that helps, man. Honestly, I think a lot of this stuff is a case of going out and doing it. And my very first ever gig that I got was at a Starbucks store, and they gave us $50 and a bunch of coffee, which was awesome. And we happily played. We were receiving money. We were playing music. It was a great deal, So I think there's definitely a balance, and that might change. Does change, I guess, through wherever you're at, whether it's your full-time income, and then obviously different people choose to do different gigs based on that as well, whether you might want to get into doing much more corporate wedding things where it's like, we want everything, we're going to pay you more, we want everything slick, we want all your gear set up to be perfectly tidy, professional, that sort of thing. Whereas a venue, a bar might be like, honestly, man, we just want everyone to have a good time. So long we don't mind if there's cables all over the show plugged in, as long as you're not going to trip everyone up. But it's a very different focus and a very different experience as an artist as well, for a bunch of different shows. So I hope that's useful to you all. I never I never know quite what we're going to chat about on these live streams. So it's it's nice. Anyway, where were we? Somewhere before. Ed, how do you decide which songs to go into your set and which songs get dropped? Two things that come up for me. One is I notice audience response. So if people are really into something, or it's like, oh, cool, that just really works, then I tend to keep stuff around as a song. But then also it's just partly what I'm really enjoying or not. And on any given day, like yesterday I played and I've just been kind of tired and a bit spent, and my voice equally, I don't think it comes across that way, but I feel it. And so I changed my song choices to, I might change the key of a song. I might omit some of the songs that are really challenging vocally for me, and I change it that way. But it's also, I want to be playing songs that I enjoy as well. So it's a balance of, now, I guess over time, what's happened for me is I've slowly stopped doing a bunch of songs that are purely crowd favorites that I wasn't enjoying. And I've started finding more and more songs that I'm like, I really like this song. It's also a crowd favorite. It may not be the number one thing, but the fact that I'm enjoying it and enjoying my performance, as well as people enjoying the tune, I've found has a greater impact than me being there being like, okay, everyone's digging this and I'm not. Then that vibe kind of comes through after a while if you're just playing tunes because you feel like you have to. And I've totally done that. I still go in and out of that from time to time. So yeah, I hope that helps, man. But fundamentally, you got to find tunes that work for you, that obviously you're enjoying playing and working out. So, okay, Giovanni, pickups. What do you think about piezo pickups? I love my Martin guitar, but the feedback is crazy at times, even when I have it about a little over halfway to where I don't even want to play the bass strings. I'm at a decent distance from the amp. Okay, could use some advice. 180 degrees from venues talk. Yeah, sure. Cool. So pickups, actually, I don't have it for this guitar, is you'll see in some of my videos, I have a little feedback buster, a little pickup, sorry. Coffee's kicking in, I promise. It's a little piece of rubber, essentially, that fits in the sound hole. And it helps to stop the vibrations from your amp coming back inside the guitar, finding those resonant frequencies within your guitar body that then keep amplifying, and you get feedback, which may make a big difference for you with your Martin, Giovanni. Is they might be $20, something like that, depending on where in the world you are. But it just sits inside the sound hole, and it will help subdue some of those frequencies. it does have a little impact on your guitar's tone and sound. So yeah, you have to be aware of that. The other option that you have in that sense is basically, depending on the mixer or the setup you're using, you may be able to pull out that specific frequency. So if you have a digital mixer, you can go through, you can find that exact frequency that's feeding back. And each guitar, each venue will have different pickup, like a different area that's really just a problem for feedback. So other than that, what are my other ways around it? I have used an LR Baggs little DI that has a notch filter. Again, looking to find that one frequency that's feeding back and just turn that down in particular. But on some of the analog discs, you would use sweepable mids if your desk has them. Sometimes they don't, and there's not going to be a lot that you can do other than, as I say, putting your speaker in front of you so that you're actually behind the direct signal. It makes it really hard to hear if you're just using that one amp as your kind of fold back and monitor. But as opposed to having a whole lot of feedback, then that may be your only option. Otherwise, there's not a lot. You're a decent distance from the amp. Is your amp facing back towards you, or the other option is, are you curious if this happens more in certain venues than others? I expect it would. It may just be one particular venue. Josh, I hope that helps. Giovanni, have you ever had a really bad live session, and how do you overcome that? You play a better one the next time. Yes, I have, absolutely. I remember I was sick doing a gig. Like, I was just kind of clogged up. I couldn't hear, and when everyone, I don't even think I could do it now, actually, if I tried to play it. But I was singing a fifth above the melody, but still singing the melody line, playing chords, and going, this sounds really weird, but I can't. With everyone talking, it was a noisy bar venue. With everyone talking, with my head like kind of clogged up, I was like, I can't actually hear well enough. And I know something's weird, but I'm not sure what it was. And I got a lot of awkward looks, and was like, I'm just going to stop singing for a bit and figure out what's going on. So, not my finest moment. Normally, I'm pretty good in those situations of I can still go and do a show if I have a cold or that sort of thing, just through over time practicing and learning all that sort of stuff. But not being able to hear clearly can be an issue, especially in some noisy venues. So I actually ended up, I don't use them much, but I have in-ears. And so if something's going to be particularly noisy, I'll often wire those in, just so that I can actually enjoy the music, hear clearly what I'm doing, rather than repeating that scenario again. But you just own it, man. Like, we're human, and sometimes we don't have the best days. It is how it goes. And to be honest, I've got some recordings on Spotify that I've been traveling around. I was really excited to do a session with a friend. We booked it all in. And I was just spent, and my voice is really not great. But I kind of, and in the end, I went, you know what, I'm going to share them. And if people like them, awesome. If not, that's fine. I know it's not my best work. That's fine. It's a little bit like, for those of you, if you've seen on the channel, the video I did with Mike McCarthy talking about recording, and the audio is pretty bad, right? And there's all these comments on it being like, oh my gosh, these two experts are talking about, recording in a studio, and yet their audio on this recording is terrible. I'm like, I know, I made the video. Like, I already know this. And what people don't know, I didn't push record twice on the audio that was going to be recording the interview. So I had to deal with a camera that was very far away in the room and try and get the best audio I could from it. And it was pretty bad. But it's one of those things that you'll know whether it's like, yeah, I'm really sorry, that was just pretty bad. But sometimes we got to get out of our own heads as well, and you can do a show sometimes where you're like, man, I really struggled, wasn't feeling that, and someone will come up to you and be like, I really enjoyed your show today, really enjoyed that, thank you. And that's the truth for them. So they really enjoyed your show. Even if you feel it wasn't your best, it's like you get to a point where you're like, hey, thanks. Awesome. I'm really glad you had a good time and enjoyed it. So, Giovanni, thanks. Oh, you're welcome, man. There's a list. There's a big list of things I would love to do. So I think I might have to start getting up earlier each day. I actually really, I've filmed a bunch of stuff that's sitting in the background as well. On a course, there's a bunch of stuff written about on a book on looping and things as well. So there's a bunch of things that are incomplete at the moment, and they've just been pushed aside for touring and adventuring through a little life with music. But I will share them with you at some point. It'll all happen. So yeah, thanks, brother. I appreciate it. I will look forward to seeing you on there when it happens. So yeah. But yeah, thanks everybody. If there's anything else that you want to throw out there, Christoph, do you use amp on battery when there's no power supply? Yes, I have been using an AER compact mobile. Really, really nice amp. I actually just sold it. So funny timing for the question. But I've been playing around. I borrowed a friend's the Bose S1. And that looks like it might end up being what I use. Super light and simple, just for when some sort of battery powered system is needed. But yeah, it was. I sold it to a guy that it made me really happy. He is. It feels like a young me in some ways, where he's out doing busking, doing markets and events. Really nice voice, tasty guitar playing. I was like, cool. So I'm really happy that he's now enjoying it, sound wise and stuff. But yeah, Christoph, we played on Sunday and actually ended up using a generator to run. So I was running pedals and the PA through that. So that's another option. But yeah, there's a lot of different choices out there, and I guess it kind of matches whatever your budget and needs are. Whether you're just wanting something for guitar and vocal, then you've got a lot of options. If it becomes more than a soloist, then it starts getting a little bit more complicated on the battery power side of things. So yeah, thanks everybody. thanks for tuning in. I am going to sign out for tonight. It's been neat to actually connect and do one of these. I did think I miss doing the weekly live sessions and just being able to connect in. But yeah, it is one of those things that just time wise at the moment. I've also been grateful that I'm not every week trying to set up and do a session just at this point in time. So finding the balance slowly. Donnie Darko. Hey. Any beginner, intermediate, acoustic busting songs? My son is 12, keen for his first gig. I would suggest that he finds songs that he likes. It will speed everything up for him much, much faster than me suggesting things. Depending on what he's into song-wise, then there can be arrangements made to change the chords and keys. You maybe use a capo to get them in a nice key for his voice if he's singing as well. But yeah, I would go through and probably if he's just starting out and wants to get some songs, find some stuff that he likes, start making a list of bands that he likes or songs, and then you can chat with either if he has a guitar tutor, awesome. Otherwise, jump on Ultimate Guitar, look up those songs, and just see. He's obviously playing a bit anyway. You'll start to see from the chords, okay, cool, I know those chords, great. Or you can transpose, use that to transpose, and you'll find a key for a lot of those songs, a lot of pop songs. They're going to be 4 or 5 chords max, nothing too complicated. But if you change the key, you might avoid, some Fs and B flats that are going to be trickier to start out with. And then just use a capo on the guitar to find a really good key for his voice. Was it your son? Yeah, son. So yeah, I hope that helps. It's been cool connecting in. Thanks, Ed. I miss them too. I like hanging out and chatting and kind of seeing where we go with a bunch of these questions. So I hope that's useful. I'm going to sign out and have some dinner, and then guess what? I am going to be back on the laptop, finishing off a couple of tour posters and some info and getting some events online for April and May, traveling around New Zealand. So I hope you're all doing really well, really well across the globe, wherever you are. Have fun playing music. I'd love to send me a message, Donnie Darko. I'd love to see if he get him out and playing some tunes and things. I'd love to see a little video or a snap or something. Feel free to send me a message. That'd be cool. I think there is steak in my fridge that's going to be for dinner. I'm very excited. Thanks, team. Have a great night, and we'll catch you again soon with some more videos on the channel once my brain and schedule relaxes just a little bit at the moment. So have a good night. Thanks.